The Tribal Chief, the man who became the face of WWE, continuing the legacy of other great names like Hulk Hogan, The Rock, and John Cena. Loved and hated by many, but undoubtedly an unforgettable name for anyone who follows the world of pro wrestling. But before understanding how Roman reached this level, I ask you to subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and click on the notification bell. Before the fame. Leotti Joseph was born May 25, 1985, Pensacola, Florida. Born into a celebrated American Samoan wrestling lineage, Joseph was immersed in a world of ring legends from a young age. His father, Sika, formed one half of the famed Wild Samoans tag team, and his family connections extended to wrestling icons and WWE luminaries, such as Ricochet, Yokozuna, and the most illustrious member of the dynasty, The Rock. However, despite his upbringing in a family of wrestlers, his initial athletic pursuits led him to American football. After excelling in high school, he pursued a college football career as a defensive tackle for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Despite going undrafted in the 2007 NFL Draft, he had stints with the Minnesota Vikings and the Jacksonville Jaguars before transitioning to the Canadian Football League with the Edmonton Eskimos, where he was released in 2008. But what initially seemed like a career destined for failure ultimately paved the way for not just a career, but a legendary tale. The beginning of a journey. In July 2010, Joseph inked a developmental deal with World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, and was subsequently assigned to their developmental territory, Florida Championship Wrestling, FCW. He made his debut on September 9, 2010, adopting the ring name Roman Leakey, where he suffered a loss to Richie Steamboat in a singles match. Following additional setbacks against Idol Stevens and Wes Briscoe, he secured his first victory on September 21st against Fod Rackman. Throughout the rest of the year, he predominantly competed in tag team matches in FCW. On FCW television, Leakey entered a 30-man Grand Royal but was ultimately eliminated. Later that year, he formed a partnership with Donnie Marlowe. They challenged for the Florida Tag Team Championship against Calvin Reigns and Big E Langston, but they lost. By 2012, Leakey transitioned to singles competition and rose to main event status. Perhaps their most important fight occurred in February of that year in a triple threat match against Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins on FCW television. He emerged victorious, earning a shot at the FCW Florida Heavyweight Championship. Despite this opportunity, he fell short in a singles match against Kruger the following week. Leakey later captured the Florida Tag Team Championship with Mike Dalton before relinquishing it to CJ Parker and Jason Jordan. After WWE rebranded FCW to NXT with the new ring name Roman Reigns, made his debut on the October 31st episode of NXT by defeating CJ Parker. And that marked the experimental phase of their career, which from now on would enter the mainstream. The Shield. The trio made their debut on November 18, 2012, during the Survivor Series pay-per-view event. In the main event featuring CM Punk, John Cena, and Ryback, competing for the WWE Championship in a triple threat match, the newly arrived Ambrose, Reigns, and Rollins intervened. They executed a powerbomb on Ryback, sending him crashing through the announcer's table, which allowed Punk to pin Cena and retain his title. Identifying themselves as the Shield, they pledged to combat injustice. Despite asserting that they weren't aligned with CM Punk or Paul Heyman, in the following weeks on both Raw and SmackDown, they repeatedly emerged from the audience to assault Punk's adversaries, including Ryback, The Miz, Kane, and Daniel Bryan. Their debut happened at the TLC pay-per-view, with a win over Ryback and Team Hell No. The Shield continued their support for Punk. Until the January 28th episode of Raw, it was disclosed that Punk and his manager, Paul Heyman, had been compensating the Shield and Brad Maddox for their services. Subsequently, the Shield distanced themselves from Punk, while initiating a rivalry with John Cena, Ryback, and Sheamus. This feud culminated in a 6-man tag match at Elimination Chamber, which the Shield emerged victorious from. They then made their WrestleMania debut, triumphing over Sheamus, Randy Orton, and Big Show at WrestleMania 29 in April. Following WrestleMania, the Shield attempted to assault The Undertaker, but were thwarted by Team Hell No. This led to a 6-man tag team match on the April 22nd episode of Raw, which the Shield won. However, their undefeated streak in televised 6-man tag team matches was halted on the May 13th episode of Raw, as they suffered a disqualification loss in an elimination tag team match against Cena, Kane, and Bryan. At Extreme Rules, Reigns and Rollins clinched victory over Team Hell No in a tornado tag team match, seizing the WWE Tag Team Championship. At Payback, Reigns and Rollins managed to retain the WWE Tag Team Championship against Bryan and Orton. They continued their successful title defenses against the USOs at Money in the Bank and the Prime Time Players at Night of Champions. In August, the Shield aligned with Chief Operating Officer Triple H and The Authority, sparking a feud with Cody Rhodes and Goldust. Their association with The Authority led to a match at Battleground, where Reigns and Rollins suffered a loss to Rhodes and Goldust in a non-title match. Subsequently, they dropped the tag team titles to Rhodes and Goldust on the October 14th episode of Raw in a no disqualification match, thanks to interference from Big Show. Despite attempts to regain the championship at Hell in a Cell, Reigns and Rollins were unsuccessful in a triple threat tag team match. However, at Survivor Series, the Shield emerged victorious in a traditional Survivor Series match alongside Antonio Cesaro and Jack Swagger. At TLC, Shield faced CM Punk in a 3-on-1 handicap match, resulting in defeat after Reigns accidentally speared Ambrose. At the 2014 Royal Rumble, Roman had a historic moment in his career, eliminating a record-breaking 12 competitors. Following a failed attempt to qualify for the Elimination Chamber match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the Shield faced the Wyatt family at the Elimination Chamber, where they suffered defeat after Ambrose abandoned the match midway through. In March, the Shield's alignment shifted as they turned face, attacking Kane instead of Jerry Lawler. This led to a match at WrestleMania XXX against Kane and the New Age Outlaws, which the Shield won. Their feud with Kane prompted the Shield to sever ties with Triple H, who then reformed Evolution to counter them. The Shield faced off against Evolution at Extreme Rules and Payback, emerging victorious on both occasions. However, on the Raw following Payback, Rollins betrayed the Shield, aligning himself with Triple H and The Authority, putting the end to an historic group. New Era. After Rollins' betrayal, Reigns briefly continued teaming with Ambrose before embarking on a singles journey, swiftly finding himself in world title contention. Following a victory in a battle royal, Reigns was added to a ladder match for the vacant WWE World Heavyweight Championship at Money in the Bank, which was ultimately won by John Cena. His next pay-per-view main event came at Battleground, where Reigns once again vied for the title, this time in a fatal 4-way match involving Cena, Kane, and Randy Orton, with Cena emerging victorious again. Post-event, Reigns entered into a feud with Orton, climaxing in a match at SummerSlam On, which Reigns won. The following month, a singles showdown was scheduled between Reigns and Rollins for Night of Champions. However, Reigns encountered a legitimate incarcerated hernia necessitating surgery before the event, resulting in Rollins being declared the winner via forfeit. Reigns made his return on Raw, accepting a Slammy Award for Superstar of the Year. At TLC, tables, ladders, and chairs on December 14th, Reigns interceded during Rollins' match with John Cena, assaulting Rollins and Big Show, initiating a feud with Big Show. Reigns went on to defeat Big Show multiple times. Reigns then entered the 2015 Royal Rumble match on January 25th, emerging victorious after lastly eliminating Rusev, thus securing a WWE World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania 31. Despite his win, Reigns faced vehement jeering from the audience. That didn't buy his lack of charisma. Reigns defended his title against Daniel Bryan at Fastlane. However, at WrestleMania 31, Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank contract during Reigns' main event match with Brock Lesnar, converting it into a triple threat match, ultimately leading to Reigns losing when he was pinned by Rollins. Reigns reignited his rivalry with Big Show, culminating in a last man standing match at Extreme Rules, which Reigns emerged victorious from. However, at Payback, Reigns fell short in his bid to capture the world title from Rollins in a fatal 4-way. At Money in the Bank, Reigns participated in his inaugural Money in the Bank ladder match, but his efforts were thwarted by Bray Wyatt's interference, leading to an attack on Reigns. Subsequently, at Battleground, Wyatt secured a victory over Reigns after Luke Harper intervened and assaulted him. In response, Reigns enlisted the assistance of Ambrose to combat the resurfaced threat of the Wyatt family. Together, they defeated Wyatt and Harper at SummerSlam. However, the following night on Raw, Reigns and Ambrose found themselves targeted by Wyatt's new ally, the debuting Braun Strowman. Following WrestleMania, Reigns found himself in a heated rivalry with AJ Styles, successfully defending his championship against him at Payback and Extreme Rules. However, his celebration was cut short by the returning Seth Rollins, signaling a new chapter of conflict for Reigns. After this, Roman was suspended by the WWE for 30 days for violating the WWE Wellness Program, the company's internal drug testing protocol. Reports from Pro Wrestling Torch and The Wrap suggested that WWE was aware of Roman's transgression prior to the event, which led to the decision for Reigns to lose his world title at the pay-per-view. During the 2016 WWE Draft, Reigns was drafted to the Raw brand. Despite his suspension, WWE persisted in promoting Reigns as part of the Battleground main event. The acknowledgement of Reigns' suspension was also made on television. At Battleground, Reigns made his return to television, contending against Rollins and Dean Ambrose for the now renamed WWE Championship, which Ambrose emerged victorious in. On the subsequent Raw, Reigns faced another setback as he failed to secure a spot in the newly announced WWE Universal Championship match against Rollins at SummerSlam, losing to the debuting Finn Bálor in a qualifying match. Reigns secured victory over Rusev at Clash of Champions to claim the United States Championship, and in a Hell in a Cell match at the titular event, he successfully defended the title against Rusev, concluding their feud. Later, Reigns joined Team Raw for the traditional Survivor Series elimination tag team match, but his team suffered defeat, with Reigns being the last eliminated by Bray Wyatt. Reigns continued his successful title defenses, defeating Baron Corbin on an episode of Raw and subsequently teaming up with The Shield to secure victories against various opponents. However, tensions rose within The Shield, ultimately leading to Dean Ambrose walking away from the group. His career was in the pick until an old tragedy comes back. Leukemia. On October 22, 2018, Reigns relinquished the Universal Championship and announced his hiatus on Raw, revealing that his leukemia had returned after 11 years of privately battling it. On February 25, 2019, Reigns announced his leukemia was in remission and he was returning to WWE. Return. On a significant episode of Raw, Reigns made a triumphant return, announcing that his leukemia was once again in remission, drawing an enthusiastic response from the crowd. Later, he, along with Rollins, came to Ambrose's aid, thwarting an assault by Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Elias, and Baron Corbin. The following week, Ambrose returned the favor as they once again joined forces to fend off their attackers, culminating in their iconic pose, signaling the reformation of the Shield for the third time. The Shield secured a victory over their adversaries McIntyre, Lashley, and Corbin at Fastlane. On another episode of Raw, Reigns accepted McIntyre's challenge for a WrestleMania 35 showdown and emerged victorious in their encounter at the event. On an episode of SmackDown, Reigns found himself under attack when an unidentified assailant pushed lighting equipment onto him. The following week, Reigns was again targeted, this time falling victim to a hit and run. Despite initially ruling out suspects like Samoa Joe and Buddy Murphy, Reigns eventually turned his attention to Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan after incriminating evidence surfaced. However, Bryan clarified that the attacker was someone who resembled Rowan. Subsequent footage revealed Rowan's involvement, leading to a confession where he admitted to both the attack and the hit and run. This revelation caused a rift between Bryan and Rowan, culminating in a no disqualification match between Reigns and Rowan at Clash of Champions, which Rowan won with assistance from Luke Harper. The feud persisted, with Reigns eventually triumphing over Rowan in a lumberjack match on the 20th anniversary of SmackDown. Later, Reigns and Bryan joined forces to defeat Rowan and Harper at Hell in a Cell, bringing an end to the conflict. Shortly after, Reigns set his sights on the Universal Championship, challenging Goldberg on SmackDown. However, Reigns ultimately withdrew from their scheduled match at WrestleMania 36 due to concerns surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic and his immunocompromised status. Reigns remained absent from WWE programming during this time, prioritizing the safety of his family amidst the uncertainty of the pandemic. Tribal Chief. At SummerSlam, Reigns returned with a vengeance, targeting the new Universal Champion, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Shortly after, Reigns aligned himself with Paul Heyman on SmackDown. Reigns reclaimed the Universal Championship for a second time at Payback, triumphing in a triple threat match against The Fiend and Braun Strowman. Following this victory, Reigns shifted his focus to his cousin Jey Uso, igniting a heated rivalry. Reigns successfully defended the Universal Championship against Jey at Clash of Champions after Jey's brother, Jimmy, threw in the towel. Reigns granted Jey a rematch at Hell in a Cell, where he emerged victorious in an I Quit Hell in a Cell match, solidifying his dominance as the Tribal Chief. At Money in the Bank, Reigns and Sikoa faced the USOs in a Bloodline Civil War match, resulting in Reigns' first pinfall loss since December 2019. Jimmy USO betrayed Jey at SummerSlam to aid Reigns in retaining his title. Reigns successfully defended against LA Knight at Crown Jewel and retained in a fatal four-way match at Royal Rumble. At WrestleMania XL Night 1, Reigns and The Rock enforced bloodline rules against Rhodes and Rollins. However, Reigns lost the title to Rhodes at WrestleMania XL Night 2, ending his historic reigns. Reigns withdrew from the WWE draft voluntarily, as announced by Heyman. As Reigns relinquishes his titles, a new chapter begins in the WWE universe. His era of dominance has come to a close, but the legacy of the Tribal Chief will forever be etched in the annals of wrestling history. As the landscape shifts and new contenders emerge, the question looms: who will rise to fill the void left by Reigns' departure? Only time will tell as the saga of the WWE continues to unfold, with each chapter bringing new triumphs, challenges, and unforgettable moments in the ring.